The ultimatum. The vast command chamber aboard the Nexus, flagship of the Galactic Council's enforcement fleet, hummed with activity as Supreme Arbiter Kaz Thrax studied the holographic projection of Earth. The blue-green planet rotated slowly, appearing deceptively peaceful against the backdrop of endless space. Preliminary assessment of dominant species. Kaz Thrax's voice resonated through the chamber, his 4 silver eyes never leaving the projection. Fleet Intelligence Officer Vex Morris stepped forward, her scaled skin shimmering under the ambient light. Designation: Humans. Technological development: pre-galactic phase, limited to primitive fusion drives and basic orbital habitats. Military capability: nuclear-armed but confined to planetary defense systems. Assessment: threat level minimal. Kaz Thrax's facial ridges rippled in amusement. Another simple integration. Then, he turned to General Dravkor, who stood motionless in ceremonial battle armor. Standard protocol. Indeed, Supreme Arbiter, the General confirmed. Ambassador Niletech is prepared to deliver terms of submission. Throughout its 10 millennia of expansion, the Galactic Council had incorporated thousands of species into its empire. Some joined willingly, enticed by promises of advanced technology and protection. Others required persuasion. The Council's approach was methodical, refined through centuries of acquisitions. Approach, evaluate, intimidate, and integrate. Earth would be no different. 3 days later, Ambassador Niletech's diplomatic vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere, its sleek, obsidian hull absorbing rather than reflecting sunlight. It landed at the designated site, a hastily constructed landing pad in Geneva, where Earth's hurriedly assembled Unified Response Committee awaited. Admiral Helena Chen, former commander of the Pan-Pacific Alliance, led the human contingent. Despite the rushed global cooperation forced by the aliens' arrival, deep political divisions remained. Some nations advocated immediate surrender, others called for resistance, while conspiracy theorists claimed the whole situation was an elaborate hoax. As Ambassador Niletech emerged from the ship, murmurs rippled through the assembled humans. The alien stood nearly 3 meters tall, with silvery skin and eyes that seemed to shift colors in hypnotic patterns. His ceremonial robes flowed like liquid metal, creating an impression of constant movement. People of Earth, the ambassador's translator device rendered his complex vibrational language into crisp English. I bring word from the Galactic Council, sovereign authority of the 7 spiral arms. Your world has been cataloged and deemed worthy of integration. Admiral Chen maintained a neutral expression as Niletech outlined the terms. Earth would surrender 40% of its natural resources, conscript 15% of its population for labor throughout Council territories, and dismantle all military assets. In exchange, humanity would receive protection and technological enlightenment. When the ambassador finished, Chen spoke with measured calm. These aren't terms of alliance. They're demands for servitude. Niletech's skin rippled in what might have been amusement or irritation. Your perspective is irrelevant. A council does not negotiate with pre-galactic species. You have 7 planetary rotations to submit your formal acceptance. And if we refuse? Chen asked, though she already suspected the answer. Then a demonstration of council authority will be necessary. The ambassador's voice remained perfectly modulated. It is standard procedure for species who fail to recognize inevitability. After Niletech's departure, Earth's leaders gathered in emergency session. Most advocated surrender, seeing no possibility of victory against beings who crossed interstellar distances with apparent ease. Admiral Chen disagreed. We cannot win a conventional war, she acknowledged, but neither can we accept extinction by installment. I propose an alternative approach. 7 days passed. No acceptance was transmitted to the waiting Council fleet. As promised, they initiated what they designated a minor corrective action against humanity's Mars colonies. 3 Council warships approached the Red Planet, their weapons systems powered and targeting the main habitation domes. Minimal defensive capabilities detected, reported the tactical officer aboard the lead vessel. Primitive missile systems only. Commander Zarval nodded. Proceed as planned. Target life support first. Once they begin suffocating, they'll surrender. The Council ships formed an attack pattern, approaching Mars along a predictable vector. They failed to notice the subtle gravitational anomalies in the nearby asteroid belt, where humans had worked frantically for the past week. They're entering the kill zone, Colonel Takahashi whispered from the hidden command center beneath Olympus Mons. All units, execute Operation Hornet's Nest. The asteroid belt erupted with activity. Hundreds of mining charges detonated simultaneously, propelling thousands of metal-rich fragments toward the Council vessels. These weren't sophisticated weapons, just industrial mining explosives attached to chunks of metal, but their sheer number overwhelmed the aliens' defensive systems. Simultaneously, the Mars defense batteries fired, not directly at the ships, but at calculated points in space ahead of them, creating debris fields that forced the Council vessels into the path of the incoming asteroid fragments. The first warship's shields flared brilliant blue before collapsing entirely. The second lost propulsion and began tumbling uncontrollably. Commander Zarval's flagship suffered multiple hull breaches as the primitive but effective weapons found gaps in their defensive systems. Impossible, Zarval whispered, watching in disbelief as his tactical display showed 3 Council warships, vessels that had subjugated hundreds of worlds, crippled by a species that hadn't even established permanent colonies beyond their own system. With trembling hands, he recorded an emergency transmission to Fleet Command. Priority alert. Human resistance unexpected and effective. Multiple vessels compromised. Request immediate reinforcement. He paused, then added the assessment that would change the Council's approach forever. These creatures fight unlike anything we've encountered. Back on the Nexus, Supreme Arbiter Kaz Thrax received the news with cold fury. The loss of 3 warships to a primitive species was unprecedented in Council history. Deploy the 7th Enforcement Fleet, he ordered, his voice dangerously quiet. Full subjugation protocols authorized. General Dravkor's expression betrayed momentary surprise. The 7th Fleet hadn't been fully mobilized in over 2 centuries. It comprised over 300 warships, including 5 planet crackers capable of shattering a world's crust. Supreme Arbiter, the General ventured carefully, with respect, based on initial encounters. Perhaps we should not underestimate. Enough. Kaz. Thrax cut him off. Your excessive caution during the first engagement is partly why we suffered losses. We will not show restraint this time. As the Council prepared its massive assault, activity on Earth reached fever pitch. The brief victory at Mars had bought valuable time, but everyone knew it wouldn't be enough against a full Council offensive. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Sofia Rivera examined recovered components from a disabled Council shuttle. Her hands moved with precision as she connected various instruments to the alien power core. A team of scientists and engineers worked alongside her, their faces drawn from exhaustion, but eyes bright with determination. Their power systems operate on principles we've only theorized, she explained, pointing to a crystalline structure at the core's center. It manipulates energy by folding space at quantum levels. But we're adapting quickly. Admiral Chen entered the facility, accompanied by military leaders from 6 continents. Former enemies now stood shoulder to shoulder, united by necessity. Please tell me you have good news, Chen said. Dr. Rivera smiled tiredly. Better than good. We've not only understood their shield technology, but found exploitable weaknesses. We've already begun retrofitting our defense systems. How soon until implementation? 2 weeks for major population centers. Military vessels. We started 5 days ago. Across the planet, factories operated nonstop. Weapons were modified with new components. Civilian vehicles were converted for military use. Volunteer fighters trained day and night. Earth was transforming itself into a fortress. 3 weeks later, the Council's 7th Fleet arrived in Earth's solar system. Supreme Arbiter Kaz Thrax watched with satisfaction as his armada surrounded the blue planet. "Begin the attack sequence," he ordered. "Target their largest military installations first, then population centers." The Council ships moved into formation, expecting minimal resistance. Instead, they encountered swarms of small, fast-moving Earth fighters. These craft darted between the larger vessels, their modified weapons targeting shield vulnerabilities identified by Dr. Rivera's team. "What is happening?" Brax demanded as damage reports flooded in. "The humans have adapted our shield technology," a tactical officer replied, unable to keep the disbelief from his voice. "They're targeting specific frequencies." "Impossible. Deploy ground forces immediately." Council landing craft descended toward major cities. These were battle-hardened troops who had conquered hundreds of worlds. They expected easy victory against primitives. Instead, they found every street, every building turned into a deadly trap. In Beijing, Council forces found themselves caught in narrow streets where their heavy armor became a disadvantage. In New York, subway tunnels became ambush points. In Lagos, civilians worked alongside soldiers, creating confusion for Council targeting systems that couldn't distinguish combatants from non-combatants. Above Earth, Admiral Chen led a small team of special forces in a captured Council shuttle. Their mission was considered suicide by most but essential by all. Approaching the flagship, Chen whispered as they slipped through the chaos of battle, transmitting Council identification codes. By some miracle, the codes worked. The massive Council command ship allowed them to dock, assuming they were returning scouts. Chen's team moved silently through the vessel, eliminating guards with weapons modified by Dr. Rivera's team. "Here," said Lieutenant Keto, stopping before a heavily secured door. "The central database." They placed charges, breached the room, and connected Earth devices to the Council computer system. For 3 precious minutes, they downloaded everything they could before alarms blared. "We have what we need," Chen said. "Now we fight our way out." Only 4 of the 14-person team survived to escape in their shuttle, but the data they carried would prove priceless. Back in the Council war room, strategic analyst Jevnar reviewed the battle reports with growing horror. The displays showed Council losses mounting at unprecedented rates. Humans were adapting Council technology, finding weaknesses, and exploiting them almost immediately. "This defies all previous models," Jevnar said to his staff. "We've conquered over 7,000 species, and none have adapted so quickly." He pulled up evolutionary data on humans, studying it carefully. Their planet's history showed constant warfare, countless adaptations, and a unique capacity for using opponents' strengths against them. "These humans," he said quietly, "they're adapting to our technology and tactics at rates that defy all previous models. They learn warfare as if born to it." An aide approached nervously. "Sir, Supreme Arbiter Brax is requesting your assessment." Jevnar looked at the battle data one more time. Tell him we may need to reconsider our approach. These humans are unlike anything we've encountered before." The turning point. Captain Mi Yamamoto stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, taking a moment to absorb the significance of this day. The massive warship hummed with power beneath her feet. 6 months ago, such a vessel would have seemed impossible. Now it represented humanity's greatest achievement. Their first true interstellar warship, built with modified Council technology. Through the main viewport, Yamamoto could see Earth growing smaller as the Defiance moved into formation. Around them, 30 smaller warships took their positions. Each had been constructed in orbital shipyards that worked around the clock. The fleet wasn't large by Council standards, but it carried humanity's hopes. "Status report," Yamamoto said to her bridge crew, a mix of military personnel from 15 nations, working together with practiced efficiency. "All systems operating at optimal capacity," reported Chief Engineer Okafor. "The modified Council drive core is stable." "Weapons systems ready," added Tactical Officer Singh. "Shield modulation patterns cycling as designed," Lieutenant Rodriguez confirmed. Communications Officer Petrov turned from his station, his eyes showing both fear and determination. "Captain, all ships report ready. The fleet awaits your command." Yamamoto took a deep breath. For months, humanity had been on the defensive, fighting desperately to protect Earth. The Council forces had been pushed back, but everyone knew they would return with greater numbers. The only hope was to take the fight to them. "Begin Operation Sunrise," Yamamoto ordered, her voice calm, betraying none of the doubt she felt inside. For the first time, humans would take the war to Council territory. The fleet moved in perfect formation toward the jump point. When they reached it, space itself seemed to fold around them. Then, in a flash of light, they were gone, traveling faster than light toward the nearby star system of Proxima Centauri, the first stop in humanity's counteroffensive. When they emerged from hyperspace, they found exactly what their intelligence had suggested. Proxima Centauri, a habitable world, was under Council control. 3 Council destroyers orbited the planet, their weapons trained downward to keep the native population in line. "They haven't detected us yet," said Tactical Officer Singh. "Our approach vector kept us in the star's radiation shadow." "Launch fighters," Yamamoto ordered. "Target their communication arrays first. We want to cut them off before they can call for help." Human fighters shot from the larger ships, moving with incredible speed toward the Council vessels. The element of surprise worked perfectly. Before the Council ships could raise their shields, the human fighters had disabled their communication systems. What followed was a short but intense battle. The Council ships fought hard, but they were outnumbered and cut off from support. Within 2 hours, all 3 had been captured largely intact. As the human fleet established orbit around Proxima Centauri, they began receiving transmissions from the surface. "Captain," said Petrov, "the native species is requesting contact. They call themselves the Silex." The avian Silex had suffered under Council rule for generations. Their once beautiful floating cities had been turned into mining operations to extract resources for the Council. When human landing craft touched down on the surface, crowds of the tall, feathered beings gathered to witness the arrival of their potential liberators. Elder Kiravosh, leader of the largest Silex clan, met with the human delegation in what remained of her ancestral hall. Her plumage was dulled from Council exploitation, but she stood tall and proud. "You fight the Council and survive," she trilled through translators, her compound eyes studying the humans carefully. "We thought this impossible." Captain Yamamoto bowed respectfully. "We've come to offer alliance, not to replace one ruler with another." The Council said the same when they first arrived. Kiravosh noted skeptically. "We know what it means to face extinction," Yamamoto replied. "We can leave you to your freedom, or we can stand together against those who would take it from us both." Kiravosh's feather crest rose slightly as she considered these words. Finally, she made a gesture that her guards recognized, causing them to lower their weapons. "You fight the Council and survive," she repeated. "We will join you." Within days, news of the alliance spread through Council communication channels that humans had tapped into. Other subjugated worlds heard that the Council was not invincible. Rebellions sparked across dozens of star systems. Species that had accepted Council rule for centuries now questioned their masters. The Council, never before challenged on multiple fronts, began withdrawing forces from Earth's solar system to protect core territories. Supreme Arbiter Kaz was recalled to defend vital Council worlds rather than continue the Earth campaign. As the human fleet moved from system to system, they liberated rather than conquered. On the captured world of Ta City E, they established a forward base. The medical facility there treated all wounded, human, allied species, and even Council personnel taken prisoner. Council Officer Xelvor lay on a medical bed, watching with confusion as human doctors moved efficiently through the ward. One stopped at his bedside, checking the regenerative field around his injured limbs. By all rights, he should have been executed. Instead, they had performed surgery to save him. "Why help those who came to conquer you?" he asked weakly. The doctor, A woman named Dr. Patel smiled gently as she adjusted his medication. Because that's what makes us different from you. Zelvor turned away, unable to understand this strange concept. In the council, the weak were useful only as subjects. Showing mercy to enemies was unheard of. As news of human treatment of prisoners spread, more council soldiers began to surrender rather than fight to the death. Some even defected, bringing valuable intelligence with them. In the council grand hall on the capital world of Nexus Prime, the ruling council met in emergency session. For the first time in recorded history, the council faced defeat on multiple fronts. Supreme Arbiter Kaz Thrax pounded his ceremonial staff on the floor. This is outrageous. We cannot lose to primitives. The reports are clear, said strategic analyst Jevnar. The human fleet moves from system to system, gathering allies. Our forces are stretched thin. Then we will deploy the planet crackers, suggested one counselor. Destroy the human homeworld as an example to others. Counselor Lurvin, who had remained silent until now, finally spoke. And if we fail? If the humans capture our planet crackers as they have captured our destroyers, they have shown they can adapt our technology against us. What alternative do you suggest? Kaz Thrax demanded. Lurvin looked around the chamber, knowing her next words might be considered treason. Yet they had to be spoken. Perhaps we should negotiate with these humans. A stunned silence fell over the council grand hall. 3 days later, a council diplomatic vessel approached the human fleet under a flag of truce. Inside the UES, Defiance's conference room, Captain Yamamoto faced Ambassador Niletek, the same diplomat who had delivered the ultimatum to Earth months before. The council proposes a cessation of hostilities. Niletek stated, his once imperious tone now carefully measured. We are prepared to recognize Earth's sovereignty and withdraw all forces from human-claimed territories. That's not enough, Yamamoto replied calmly. What about the worlds you've subjugated? The species you've enslaved? Niletek's skin rippled with what might have been frustration. The Council's relationship with its protectorates is not a matter for human. It is now, Yamamoto interrupted. Our terms are simple. Independence for any world that desires it, reparations for resources stolen, and a new galactic charter that guarantees rights for all sentient species. The Council will never agree to such terms, Niletek protested. Yamamoto activated a holographic display showing the growing Alliance fleet, now comprising ships from 12 different species. Then the Council will fall, system by system. We've learned your tactics, adapted your technology, and found your weaknesses. And unlike you, we keep making new friends. 1 month later, representatives from over 50 species gathered on neutral ground, a terraformed moon orbiting an uninhabited gas giant. The signing of the Galactic Concordat marked the end of Council dominance and the beginning of a new interstellar community. Supreme Arbiter Kaz Thrax, now stripped of much of his former power, watched bitterly as Admiral Helena Chen, elevated to Earth's representative, added her signature to the document. You realize what you've done, he said when she approached him afterward. Thousands of years of order, replaced by chaos. Chen looked at him with something between pity and understanding. Not chaos. Choice. Something your council never understood. And what happens when new threats emerge? When predatory species from beyond the 7 arms come hunting? Your federation will collapse without the council's protection. Perhaps, Chen acknowledged, or perhaps we'll do what humans have always done. Adapt, improvise, and stand together against whatever comes next. That's something your council never learned to do. As Earth's delegation prepared to return home, Dr. Rivera approached Admiral Chen with the latest scientific breakthrough, a communication system that could potentially bridge the vast distances between galaxies. We're calling it the Quantum Entanglement Network, Rivera explained, based on Council tech, but we've taken it in a completely new direction. Chen smiled. Of course you have. That's what we do. Across the reformed galaxy, former Council worlds watched humanity with a mixture of awe, gratitude, and trepidation. They had expected conquerors. They found liberators. They had expected vengeance. They found mercy. They had expected new masters. They found allies. And in the vast emptiness between galaxies, something ancient stirred. Something that had watched the rise and fall of countless civilizations. Something that had never encountered a species quite like humanity before. The real test was just beginning.